really wanted to welcome all of you here today. It's been a pretty tough 15 or 16 months. And so we realize that by you taking some time now, it's time out of an already busy and full schedule. We appreciate your time now, but also your efforts over the entire past year and beyond. It's great to see you via Zoom right now, but we're really looking to see you face-to-face in the year starting tomorrow, that we can, beyond Zoom and beyond phone calls, be able to see you face-to-face and the people that you serve. As many of you know, we've been working on impact measurement. In fact, we've been working with you and some of you over the past year to give us some pointers along the way as we seek to better understand our work and your work. And we simply acknowledge that there are probably some thanks due along the way. One is certainly to all of you for your work and seeking to raise the bar in serving the people and serving our communities. Also want to thank our staff and our board through all of this effort to not only put together this presentation today, but all of the months and almost a year of work now behind us. Also wanted to thank our consultants. We wanted to be thoughtful, and sometimes you need consultants to help you kind of walk through and be thoughtful. Certainly thank Community Impact Consultants and Michelle DeSabato and Kim Foster, who are here with us today. So a hearty welcome. A couple housekeeping things as we talk about communicating and working through Zoom. First of all, please turn off your audio if it's not already muted. We also would say, please keep your chat activated. That really is, if you have any IT access issues, please use the chat so we can follow up on that with you so you can understand and be part of things. We will be going through a presentation. As questions pop up, please feel free to use Q&A and the raise hand feature. We probably won't answer the questions once we get to the end of the presentation, but as we observe some things, perhaps we can incorporate some of those answers as we go. But again, when you think of the question, put it down, grab that question so we can communicate better at the end of the presentation. So we're excited to be with you here today, and looking forward to outlining our grant making in the future. So without further ado, I think I'm passing it on to Howard Brown.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Howard Brown, Senior Program Officer here at Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation. And we look forward to walking through our new results framework with you all. And then I will be sharing the floor with our partner and some of our staff to talk about next steps. If you can move to the next slide. Over the past several months, we've had the pleasure of working with members of our community to inform the development of the results framework we present today. That includes a long list of grantee partners, philanthropy peers, our board, our staff, and a team at Community Impact Consultants. So thank you once again for your contribution and your dedication and tireless service to our community. We identified early on the need for equity to be embedded throughout all of our funding efforts. And also apparent was the importance of transparency, providing clarity to our desired impact and sharing the results of our collective work as we embark on this new journey. And I'm proud to share that the new mission of the Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation is to enhance the health and wellness of area residents by providing education, funding, and programs that ensure equitable access and inclusive opportunities for all residents to adopt a healthy lifestyle. A review of our historic funding priorities and research of current and future needs of the residents in our service area has inspired us to focus on 3 core pillars: developing youth potential, promoting equitable health and wellness, and collaborating for a healthy future. These pillars will guide our grant making and engagement strategy in the years to come. Next slide, please. So the launch of a new results framework is an extraordinary opportunity for the foundation to partner in collaboration with the community through strategies and initiatives that work toward common goals. But most of all, it's an opportunity for us, for all, to work together, learn, and grow. And if we had the opportunity to partner with you in the past, and you can see that the foundation's core principles will remain the same. So we'll continue to hold paramount the health and wellness of residents of the Pottstown area. And by soliciting a diverse representation of views, we will aim to maximize our collective resources through meaningful community partnerships. And through various methods of shared learning from our grant-making efforts, we'll work to regularly and continually assess the foundation's efforts to fulfill its mission. However, the global pandemic and the calls for racial justice throughout the country and across the globe have brought to the forefront the need for funding strategies that address stark disparities that derive from the many flaws in the systems and structures that impact the health, education, and economic stability of the people we serve. So through a revised set of funding principles, we aim to fulfill our new mission by fostering a culture of transparency, equity, and learning, as I mentioned. And if anything, the last 2 years has done, it's shown a light on some of the root causes of health disparities in our community. And while some progress has been made, we understand that more work must be done to remove barriers that persist and ensure equitable health outcomes for all community members. We're proud to support many collaboratives that were either stood up or strengthened in our responses to the global pandemic. And we thank you for those historical partnerships that allow us to come together in these very important efforts. We will continue to build upon these existing relationships and look forward to establishing newly focused and sustainable collaborative efforts going forward. In our passionate commitment to the community, we believe that the people affected most by the critical issues we seek to address should play an active role throughout the processes of decision-making, planning, development, and implementation of the initiatives we designed to fulfill our missions. And lastly, it's believed that when efforts are guided by a common vision, measurable goals, and coupled with a commitment to continuous learning for shared understanding of the results, we can achieve greater outcomes and ultimately an extraordinary impact. Next slide, please. So I've shared our new purpose, mission, and foundation vision. So now let's look at some of the desired, impact of our 3 core pillars. Through 2 new funding pillars and a pillar that represents our engagement strategy, we look forward to supporting the work of our historic partners while also exploring opportunities for new partnerships, including those that address social determinants of health as a primary approach to achieving health, education, and economic equity for the residents in our service area. The desired impact for the funding pillar promoting equitable health and wellness is that community members have equitable access to spaces, services, programs, and resources that, again, enable them to pursue and embrace a healthy lifestyle. In the middle here, and that's actually fitting that it's there in the center, is the foundation engagement in the pillar collaborating for a healthy future. As I spoke earlier about the importance of that collaboratives have and will continue to play in our community, our desired impact is that our team empowers a diverse set of constituents to actively work, learn, and support a healthy future for all residents. The next funding pillar is developing youth potential, where our desired impact is that we have a community of youth that are healthy, learning, and thriving socially, emotionally, and on a path for economic stability now and in the future. So to share the next slide, thank you for this time. It's my pleasure to introduce for a deep dive into our results framework and to share some of the ways that your mission may align in order to submit a letter of intent for an upcoming grant round. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the founder and president of Community Impact Consultants, a philanthropic impact subject matter expert with more than 20 years of experience designing and implementing philanthropic and social impact initiatives. our friend, Michelle DeSabato.
Thanks, Howard. Good morning, everyone. So excited to be here. We're excited to be at this point of launching the framework. And we're just going to take you through how this framework will align with the letter of intent that's coming up for you guys to start applying for. I am going to come off video so you can focus on the content. So as Howard mentioned, you know, we've spent time with you guys. We've spent time with the foundation trying to get to this state of how do we determine the success of the investments that the foundation is making in your organizations, in your programs, because your success is their success, because you guys are partners. It's not a one-way street. So when we think about the letter of intent that's coming up, it's now focused on this new framework, focused on the new pillars that Howard mentioned. There's 4 critical steps that we're asking you to think about when responding. Align, first and foremost, making sure that you can see your programs, your organization aligned with a pillar and a program area, which I'll go into in a second what those program areas are. Think about the type of project and investment that you're seeking, what type of support you're seeking from the foundation. We'll always have some narrative, but where our narrative is going to start going is really focused on achievement. What have you achieved in the past? What are you looking to achieve with the funds that you are seeking to secure from the foundation? And ultimately, as Howard was speaking earlier about equity and impact, so wanting to make sure that you're aligning and seeing where you're going with community impact. Let's take these one at a time. So first and foremost, this concept of aligning with a pillar or program area. What Howard had up here before is the beginning of what we all know as a logic model, right? We start with our purpose up top, and our purpose needs to link to our visionary state on the bottom, area residents living a vibrant, healthy, thriving lives. That's also how we connect to the foundation's mission. And again, as Howard mentioned, this concept of making sure that there's equity and transparency through all. And in these pillars, you see these big visionary statements as well, these desired impacts, right? Community members benefiting from equitable access to spaces, services, programs, etc. Community youth are healthy, thriving, learning now and in the future. Again, big statements. The question is, how do we get there? How do we know we're contributing or ultimately walking the walk to get to these visionary statements? So again, because these are so broad, we have to take a step back. We have to look at each of the pillars and define specific program areas, what that program area means, who we're looking to affect or key stakeholders, and desired program impact for each of those program areas. Let's take a look through each of these for the promoting equitable health and wellness area. So first and foremost, as you can see, if we're looking to that community members are benefiting from equitable access to spaces, services, programs, you can see why the built environment is so important. And really here, it's about promoting community wellness and making sure that there's development and access to, and equitable access, I should say, to active living spaces for all. So who are we going to be working with? Who are we looking to change? Who are we looking to ultimately have the benefit? We're going to work with municipalities. We're going to work with facilities, parks, and recs departments, as well as making sure that we're monitoring behaviors of community members, because ultimately that's who we want to access the spaces. And here you can see if we're successful and we're getting to a desired end state, we're going to see that active living spaces are safe, clean, and accessible to all community members to embrace a healthy lifestyle. Our next program area in this pillar is health access and delivery. Again, it's focused on affordable, high quality, culturally and linguistically appropriate care for all community members. And you can understand then that our key stakeholders who we're looking really to affect, to impact, to make sure that they're receiving access are the community members, with a focus particularly on underserved populations. And when we say underserved, we mean both socially and economically underserved. And ultimately, again, if we're successful in the end, it would contribute to this desired program impact of equitable access to high quality health programs and resources that are available, and more importantly, not only available, being utilized by community members. The last program area in this pillar is health equity. Again, as Howard mentioned, the foundation is placing a very high value on equity. And you can see, we're talking about how do we remove barriers to health and wellness for all community members to make sure that they have the opportunity to ensure their full health potential. So making sure that we're focused on those community members that may have social or economic disparities in relation to the overall community. So do they have some kind of social determinant of health that we're looking to affect or change? Again, this desired impact would be that community members have a social and economic barrier to their health, either removed or mitigated. So again, these are the program areas under this pillar, still pretty much, as you can tell, at a pretty high level. But do you see how your programs, if you're in this space, could align, could contribute to this program impact? This is all we want to look for initially at the LOI. I will forecast ahead and say once we start getting to an application stage, obviously we have measures and indicators that we're also going to look to bring you along the journey on. But the foundation wanted to do this purposefully to bring you along the journey with them. So the first step is, hey, do you see an alignment? Do you see these stakeholders that they're looking to affect and change being part of your program, and how your program potentially can contribute to this desired program impact? Let's take a look at the second pillar, developing youth potential. Again, focused on making sure that community youth are healthy, learning, thriving now and in the future. What does that mean from a program area? Well, we want to start at the earliest age, at early childhood development. And that means, making sure that both expecting and new parents are provided the tools and resources to ensure the development of their young children, defined as 0 to 5. So we're working to look at expecting mothers with a focus of those that may be at risk for either substance abuse or mental health issues, but also working with caregivers, expecting parents and parents of young children to help them because it's them that will be providing the resources to the young children, and obviously the young children. And if we're successful, we're going to prepare kids to enter school, that they're cognitively, socially, physically, and emotionally ready to enter the school, so to go into kindergarten. The next pillar would be kind of the core community youth pillar, because we're dealing with the school education kids. We're dealing with the K through 12, and it's really making sure that there are best practices to promote wellness as a core component of school culture and student achievement. We all know that proper health, proper wellness is a core contributor to academic achievement, because if you're thriving emotionally and physically, you have better stamina to achieve your academic success. So our stakeholders there, and again, this has been a core pillar for the foundation for a long time, so this one should not be too much of a big surprise. But working with the educational institutions, the districts, the schools, but also working with those within the districts and schools, the teachers and the families of these students, and ultimately hopefully impacting and changing and benefiting the students and youth K through 12, so that they're active, healthy, and thriving academically. The last pillar kind of supports that school programs, because we know not everything happens in just the school environment. It's this concept of youth development, and really making sure that area youth K through 12 students are cognitive, social, and emotional, have the cognitive, social, and emotional skills to succeed in life. So really making sure that we're focused on the kids in this one. So maybe this is after school programs, maybe this is some summer programs and so forth, but making sure they have the cognitive, social, and emotional skills to manage and thrive in their daily lives and in the future. So again, Do you see your program aligned? Can you see the stakeholders that they're seeking to benefit and to impact being part of who you are working with? Again, that's the first step of alignment with for the letter of intent or the letter of inquiry. The last pillar is really focused on kind of that, what I'll call that broader change. It really is in support of the other two pillars. So, if the funding strategy is promoting equitable health and wellness and developing youth potential, how do we go broader, deeper, and engage with a diverse set of constituents to make sure that we're supporting those pillars, supporting the vision of the foundation, and that's through the work of community collaboratives and educational learning opportunities, which tend to be a different type of investment, which is really the focus of the next step of alignment and thinking about how to apply for this letter of intent. So we talked about that first step of alignment with a pillar or program area. Again, the two main funding program area pillars are developing youth potential and promoting equitable health and wellness. Now we have to think about what it is you're looking to do. What type of funds are you seeking from the foundation? What type of investment, as I like to call it? So there are three general categories, right? So there's program support, or we call it direct service. Basically, you have existing programs that are directly aligned with the pillars, with the stakeholders that we just talked about, the program areas, and you're seeking support so that you can continue providing those programs in the community. Again, normally direct service, program support. The next one is grantee capacity building. So these are investments because you're looking to improve your organization. And that improvement would lead to achieving better results, either in an effectiveness results or efficiency results. Effectiveness being, I can go deeper with my constituents to get better results. Maybe, increase those I'm serving. Efficiency being, cutting time to get down to results. I'm bringing in, I'm decreasing costs, et cetera, because I'm putting some infrastructure in. Systemic reform, is the third type. And for this one, we go a little deeper because we're talking about change here at the macro level. So we're looking to inform change at the policy level, at the community level, at the practitioner level. So in this instance, we'll ask you specifically, what type of macro level change are you trying to affect? So practice development, maybe you're developing some new delivery mechanism aimed at bringing deeper results to the participants, the community, or the issue. Or maybe that feel collaborative. Remember in the previous, the last pillar that I talked about, the collaborating for a healthier future, maybe you're looking to bring together a diverse group of interested parties to address a need in service delivery or a gap to get bigger results, deeper results. Again, macro level, looking at affecting change throughout the community versus just within your organization or program. And finally, the last macro level change is this concept of advocacy or community influence. So really looking at affecting change at the policy level, be it local policy, state policy, maybe even contributing to some respect to some kind of national policy, but really looking at affecting change throughout the community through policy and legislation. So again, if you think about the steps that we were following, we aligned with a pillar in a program area. Now we're talking about the type of change, the type of investment that you're looking for. And one of the things I want to point out here is the types of results that come from these types of investments. So if we start with direct service, what we want you to start thinking about is we aligned with a pillar, a program area, hopefully starting to think about a stakeholder. Think about what will be different for them. What's different for these participants, these community members, because of your program. We think about it as a change in status, condition, or behavior of the individual served, or the condition if we're talking about the built environment. From a capacity building, again, we're looking at investing in your organization to improve the capacity of your organization to achieve results. So once that new capacity is in place, what are the results that you, your organization and those you serve will benefit from? Again, is it decreasing costs, increasing revenue? Is it increasing the numbers that you can serve or the results that you get for those that you serve? And finally, the systemic level, again, we know it's that macro level change, which ultimately means it's longer term to get there. We don't expect macro level change to happen in a 1-year grant. It's usually a 5-10 year process, and a foundation can be coming in at different points of it, maybe at the beginning, maybe in the middle, maybe towards the end. So what we look for from a results perspective, and what we will ask you to think about, is what you'll achieve during the grant period that you're seeking funding for, but ultimately, if this policy gets enacted, if this practice gets developed, what will ultimately be the difference in the community. So we're just starting to get you to start thinking about, instead of just the actions and activities, the results. So the resulting behavioral or conditional change of the actions or activities in your program, of the program that you're developing, of the program that you're delivering. So we're taking you along the 4 steps that we think are critical to applying and linking in with the new framework through this letter of intent. We talked about pillar or program area alignment, critical, right? Then giving you the opportunity to think about how you are going to utilize the funds, what type of funds you're seeking. So direct service, capacity building, systemic reform. Now we get to kind of what we'll talk about as the normal part of when you're applying, right? The actual narrative questions. The slant that we want to point out here is there really are focused or shifting our focus to achievement, even on these questions. So these are the direct questions that are on the LOI. You can go in, it'll be live shortly, and you can see, it is all focused on achievement. Your mission is your mission, but tell us, give us a couple examples, especially in this past year of everything that's been going on, of how you've achieved your mission, what you've done to achieve it. Talk about the folks that you are serving, and how they have been part of making sure that the services that you're providing are embedded into the delivery and identification of projects that you're putting forth into the community. And ultimately, tell us, how you intend to use the funds. Again, think about that alignment. We want to make sure that you're showing that alignment, that you're talking about what you're going to do, and ultimately what you're going to achieve with the funds. The last part, again, comes to making sure that we're holding true to this concept of transparency, equity, and learning by looking at how you're contributing to community impact. So the first 2 things, the first areas that we'll focus on from a community impact perspective are making sure that equity is represented, and then ultimately the service demographics. We'll go deeper if you move forward to the application stage into these, but we want to look through first and foremost, that the foundation is funding and supporting organizations that are becoming culturally sensitive and diverse as an organization. So this list, and I'm not going to read them all, I'll leave it up for a few minutes so that you can peruse through it, will be a pick list. It will be a checklist. Tell us what you're doing to embed cultural sensitivity and diversity within your organization. We want to see alignment. We want to start seeing that organizations that the foundation is supporting is coming along the journey with them of equity. So again, a pick list. Tell us how you're aligning, what you're doing to become a diverse organization. The second place that we'll look to kind of get a snapshot into what you're doing from a community impact and an equity perspective is starting to look at what types of recipients will be benefiting from your program, from the funds that the foundation is investing in you. Again, a pick list here. As we go deeper, as we go into an application, we'll start to get a little bit more specific. We'll ask you maybe for some percentages and so forth. But right now, who do you currently see as your stakeholders, as your recipients that will benefit from the programs that you're working towards? So if you think about it, hopefully, we've outlined the journey along the thought process of applying for a new grant from the foundation, with the initial step of being the LOI. A reminder, we will go deeper in the application, just to prepare yourself for indicators and so forth if you move forward. But initially, it's just, how do you see that alignment? What type of project are you looking for? What have you achieved in the past? What do you hope to achieve in the future with these funds? And how do you see yourselves contributing to this community impact of equity, making sure that there's equity and that it's represented through service diversity? I'm going to pause. We're going to share with you, Rachel from the foundation is going to come on and share with you the grant cycle timeline, and then we're going to take questions and hopefully have a dialogue. Rachel?
Thanks, Michelle. Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Jamber. I'm the grants administrator at the foundation. And as you see, we have the timeline up here. For those of you who normally apply in our fall grant round, these dates should look familiar to you, as they're the same as usual. The LOI opens July 1st, tomorrow, with a due date of August 1st. LOI decisions August 24th, and the application will open the following week. So what you will see here, number 5, the PAHWF results framework training, aligning your program with the PAHWF new measurement framework. So we're going to have 2 sessions, one on August 30th, one on August 31st, both at 1 o'clock. They will run about an hour and a half. So we will follow up with more information on which session you will be invited to. So, it may be a good idea to block both those dates on your calendar for now, if possible, 1 o'clock on both August 30th and 31st. And within a couple of weeks, we should be following up with an invitation to which session you'll specifically be invited to. And then number 6, application assistance. So Michelle is going to be providing one-on-one support for selected grantees, and that will run from September 1st to the 24th. So, she'll go deeper into the measurement framework with you and go through the application in order to set you up for success through this process. So again, we'll provide more information in your, most likely in your move ahead email, should your LOI get moved forward to the full application, and we'll provide information on how to go about setting up some time with Michelle. And then applications are due the week or on October 1st, application decisions November 9th, and reporting requirements are the same as usual, the 15th of July and the 15th of January. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. And this is, so for points of contact, you'll see here that we have listed specific program areas that are aligned to each program officer. You'll see the email addresses at the bottom, and then of course my email address for technical support. If you're looking at this list and you say, well, I don't know where I fit in here, feel free to contact your current program officer. If you don't have a current program officer, feel free to contact me. You'll see my email address there listed at the bottom, and then we can get you in contact with the correct person that you will be aligned with.